Thank you, Senator. I second your nomination. You indicated that the corporations exert extreme influence over the federal courts. It's easy to understand the influence of money over the executive and legislative branches, where in order to serve you have to get elected or reelected. I'm not sure, but I think federal judges get lifetime appointments.
They do.
Is there any mechanism other than the presidential appointment that allows for corporate influence over the federal courts?
Let me put things in two categories. First of all, in a lot of states, judges are elected. And
Right.
so you had that horrible case of the coal company guy who raised more money for the judge running for election than the judge's own campaign had. Yeah. And then the judge reversed a $50 million verdict against the corporation of the man who'd raised the money. And for 5 out of the 9 justices on the Supreme Court, that was too much. Interestingly, for 4 of them, that was not too much. But the other aspect on the federal side is a combination of things. First of all, it's people who are kind of trained in this, who are planning to become judges, and so they connect to the Federalist Society and they groom themselves, and so now you have judges who have gone up through this sort of spout. It's the first time in the history of the United States that we don't have a judge who's ever run for office on the court. This is the first court in the history of the United States that has no judge that's ever run for office. Nobody who's had any political experience whatsoever. When Sandra Day O'Connor left, she was the last one who had political experience. I don't think they would have decided Citizens United if they actually knew what they were doing, if they had a political sense of how stupid the decision was in practice. So you've got the spout that comes up. Then you've got, for a lot of judges, this is not the Supreme Court, but for a lot of lower court judges, you've got this whole array of trainings that they go to, and they take fancy places over, and they bring them out to go fly fishing out west or to fancy beaches or whatever in lush hotels, and then they teach them how to make conservative decisions, and it's all paid for by the big special interests. And that's mostly lower courts. The Supreme Court doesn't play with that so much. At the Supreme Court, you've got, first of all, your loyalty to the people who brought you there. And then you've got this array of front groups that file amicus briefs that come in and tell you what the position is of your team. And you get a cycle going of big special interests who put up front groups, who file amicus briefs, who tell the court what the corporate message is, and when they give it, that provides benefit to the special interest, which then puts more money into the front groups, and you just crank that mill. And a lot of these groups don't exist in real life and with a real attorney-client relationship. My one argument in the United States Supreme Court came when a Rhode Islander named Mr. Palazzolo had his case, which was in the state courts, discovered by a foundation out in California, the Pacific Legal Foundation. And he didn't hire them, they hired him. They came all the way from California and said, can we take your case? Because we look for cases like this that we can bring up to the court to make these arguments. And so they get to be a part of this kind of new courtiership of the court, and if you buy into it, that's the problem. And what you see is these 5-4 decisions, time after time after time, that inevitably, if it's an election decision, make a decision in favor of Republican results at the polls. If it's corporations versus a human being, whether it's an employee or somebody who they hurt, they inevitably come down on the side of the corporation. It's really pretty remarkable in terms of the consistency of the pattern and now the predictability of it. And so it's not that they're getting paid, it's just that they're being loyal to the... There's an old phrase, you danced with the guy that brung you. Yeah. And that gets echoed constantly. Come talk to the Federalist Society, come go duck shooting with our conservative high-end folks, come to these seminars, and the court, I think, has been to a significant degree captured as a result. And I hate saying that because I'm a lawyer who loves courts.